He's come back up off the injury report, unlike Mark Williams, who could be dead. He's arisen. Matty Malley, how are you, mate?
I'm back. Yeah, feeling great. Ready to cartwheel. Yeah, I am the Mark Williams of my local district.
You're the Mark Williams of
hopefully
NBA podcasters. If I was filling in your injury report, if I was filling in the injury report, what would I put beside your name? Did not play, injury. What do I put down beside that? Illness?
Did not play. Yeah, emptying bowels with extreme violence. I feel like you can put that on there.
And we all know that in the NBA these days, if you have an illness, you could be out for at least 3 weeks. So, look, you've done very well to crawl back in for this one. This is indeed the pickup. We have our buy now, our sell nows, our buy low, our sell highs, all of it. And we're also going to do a bit of an NBA catch-up because we haven't chatted since the trade deadline. And we're going to call them Where the Dust Settles Dudes. It's all coming up right up after this.
Welcome to the Ultimate Super Coach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Hey, look, before we actually get down to the podcast, I think I must have to say, Malley, I know that you're on it. We have our Discord Unlimited. If you haven't joined our Discord Unlimited for Insight Fantasy Sports, we're revving up on all cylinders, not just because it's coming NBA playoff time and getting your fantasy lineups right. We've got AFL, NRL, all on the boil. It's coming down to the wire the last couple of weeks and games here for the NBL. So make sure you get on it right there. The link is down below. Click on that one. It's only $25 for the entire year to join that, and it's not just for NBA, it's for every single sport we do, Malley.
Right, $25, what a bargain. I'm a tight ass, and even I'd pay that.
Do you have a subscription yet? We are going to give one away on the show very, very soon. We'll make sure we get down to that one. Mate, huge day. We're a couple of big fellas and a couple of Matts who love our basketball. Victor Wembanyama is the fourth rookie ever to record a triple-double for blocks. Can you today? Absolutely huge. The last one we know was Clint Capella in 2021. Not a rookie. He just did it the last time. Do you know who the other three rookies are? There are some elite guys he's joining.
Let's go. I reckon it won't be like a household name. I reckon it'd be something like, because Capella's not really a household name. Obviously, Wemby is. Maybe Malone. Is he there?
Ooh! You're talking Karl Malone or Moses Malone?
Let's go Moses.
I will tell you, it was a teammate of Moses Malone.
That would be
reminds you of The Simpsons.
Yeah, Hakeem. No, not Elijah one.
Earlier, Ralph.
Oh, yeah, Samson, Big Ralphie.
Yeah, Big Ralphie Sampson.
Yeah, right.
The other big fella from Utah. You kind of went to the Malone era. So Mark Eaton, and you've got to get this one. He played on your favorite team of all times, and he did it 3 times as a rookie.
Was it the Admiral?
It was David? Indeed. It was Big David Robinson in his rookie year in 1990. That's huge.
It's just funny because, obviously he was athletic, but he wasn't that mobile. And you think of Ralph Sampson, he was slow as hell. Eaton was slow as hell. Like, isn't it funny that they could get 10 blocks?
A triple-double that included blocks. Yeah, Mark Eaton, Ralph Sampson both did so once in 1983 in the same year. And in 1990, another Spur, David Robinson, did so 3 times. That means 4 out of the total 6 rookie triple-doubles with blocks were recorded by Spurs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they love a big boy, hey. Good on them.
They do love a big boy. And we all do love big boys, don't we?
Yeah, they make them big in Texas.
They do make them big in Texas. I remember a girl with, wore a T-shirt. They make them big in Texas. When she came big personality, she wore that to high school for free dress day, and she had to go home one day.
Big mistake.
You weren't allowed to wear that to school back in the 90s, I tell you that much. And hey, look, a bit of an injury update coming out on this one. We've got a bit of an injury update. So in unrelated news that we're all aware of, if you play for Tom Thibodeau, you could just die on the basketball court, or just something could go wrong in the final minutes of the game. Dante DiVincenzo today went down in the final minute with a hamstring. They lose to the Rockets on a controversial late foul call today. It was like Jalen Brunson, mate, he was ready to kill someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen all the reports, and there's not a lot of love for the umpiring in that game, but it is what it is. It's still a game at the end of the day, even though a lot of money gets sunk into it. It's a sport. People make mistakes.
And this is the weird thing. I don't think the Knicks actually had any business kind of being in this one. Big game for Precious Achiuwa. I did say the other day that look for him to fill in depending on what the call with Hartenstein was. He didn't play tonight. Mitch Robinson is out. Julius Randle is out. OG Anunoby is out. But again, as I said, Dante DiVincenzo, he's probably out up until the All-Star break. My question is, do you think Bojan Bogdanovic gets a bit of a bump in his role?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'll talk about him in detail later. The notes I have written, obviously, before the news of this injury. But yeah, we'll reflect a little bit on that. He'll definitely do more than he did the previous game. Even today, I mean, the injury only happened right at the end of the game, so it didn't really impact him. But he didn't get a lot of minutes. He was in the 20s, which you haven't seen from him basically this season.
Yeah, he wasn't that efficient, but they were in this one. It was an inefficient game. But then again, when you've got Jalen Green on your team, are you really talking highly about efficiency? Is the question there.
That's not a concern.
Not a concern, but look, controversial call. It got the Rockets over the line today. Other news, I think we are going to call this like where the dust settles, and I don't have a sexy soundbite for it. Maybe I could do one of this, like maybe I just could throw it back to the old school.
Noises?
We're not allowed to. No, we're not allowed to do ASMR on the pod anymore. We were told very clearly we cannot do like Jonas Valanciunas. We're told we can't do that anymore. So I'll just hit the people with this one.
Boom shakalaka.
There we go. It's like you can imagine the ground splitting on that one. Malley, initially my thoughts the other day with the dust settle guys, with these were the hit list guys, some guys who are going to get bumps for their respective teams. Now we haven't all seen them play for their new teams or step into their roles apart from a small sample size. Went with PJ Washington, Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Bilal Coulibaly, Rashawn Holmes, Eugene Omari over in Washington. Buddy Hield, again, shining right now with Tobias Harris being out today. We'll talk about that later. Naismith, Mathurin, Fontecchio with another C. Don't pick up the one in your league with one C. It's not the same bloke. That's a misspelling on my behalf. Guys like Hassan Thompson, Trey Mann, again, let's talk about him next, and Micic, who didn't come good today. We were talking about some of the dust settles blokes. What are your thoughts on that initial list? And I'm adding to it, like Kelly Olynyk is a guy that I like to add to the list now in a lot of leagues and available. Tell us your thoughts on the trade deadline.
Yeah, I like the list you had there. The only one I noticed was missing was Bagley. I'd say he's probably worth a pick up there. I picked him up as soon as the original trade went down, when Gafford was off, and even with Holmes coming back, I thought, no, he'll be second fiddle. Then he came out and he played 15 minutes in his first game without Gafford, and I didn't panic, which is one of my favourite things to do, so I'm surprised by that.
I'm surprised you did that time. Yeah.
I mean, they went small. They didn't need him. And he was coming back from four-game absence with injury, so I think they were easing him back in. Today, he looked much better. He doubled. He got a steal. He got a block. His efficiency was good. I mean, his efficiency in the first game where he played his 15 minutes, he was 1 for 7, so he wasn't really impacting the game much. But I am glad I held him in my 16-man league. I'm going to, hold him tight. And, I think some good things will come out of him.
In a 16-man league, that's insane because he's 41% rostered. He's actually gone down 1% on Yahoo off that stinker the other day, like you said. So he's been drafted and come back into teams and in and out of teams. So that's a massive pickup. Olynyk is the guy that I've really liked. He's jumped not 41%. Jesus. He's at 31%. He's gone up 4% in the last day as well. Great role for him. He's basically played 22 minutes. He's a serviceable extended floor guy back up to Pirtle, though they've played them both a little bit today. Perfect from the free throw line. Excellent field goal percentage, 6 from 10, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. Doing Olynyk things. And what I've always loved about Kelly is he's a willing and able passer. So I think that in this very free-flowing Raptors offense, he'll find himself out and carve a nice little role. Definitely a stream option if he's ever on a waiver wire when the Raptors have a back-to-back.
100%. Like the last 2 games, I picked him up as well. He was another guy. Actually, no, I didn't pick him up. I got him in as a bit of a bonus in a recent trade because I thought, they're not going to miss him, and I think I can squeeze that tiny bit more value out of it. And he obviously impressed today, and he impressed in his last game over in Toronto. He sat the first one after the trade, but he's got a handful, I think 3 steals in both of the last games, which isn't a Kelly Olynyk thing. So I don't think that's a change of atmosphere. That might be a flash in the pan, but everything else he's done. He's only still got the 20-odd minutes, and what I worry a little bit about is both of those games were kind of blowouts, and I think they just sat Pirtle. But, he is a guy that they need. As you said, he's a handler, he's a distributor, and they're down to 1 point guard now, and then they're playing Scotty Barnes as kind of their comeback on play point guard while young fella's off QI.
And he's been QI and IQ and Barnes have been up and down a little bit lately as on IQ. It's QI. I think QT is the rapper.
Yeah,
you are a
Q.
Do you remember the whole math thing where you are a QT pie and you're trying to be cute as a kid and write that on a note?
Yeah.
Baby. It's sexy when I can. Oh, it's sexy when I can use the mathematical symbols to tell you that you're hot.
Yeah, that's what girls are into.
Mate, these are the guys who else is there? Because I didn't put Bagley on my list initially because I thought he had a role there. So he just stepped up. I thought he had more of a role with Gafford. He was playing well with Gafford being in and out of the lineups in Washington. Gafford is also just shining right now. Like, he's putting up really good numbers over in Dallas. And see, he's just gone in seamlessly. He's doing massive stats in 20 minutes a night. Like, you see what this bloke is doing. And if he is ever, am I saying just unleash him? Like, because
he's back. He's back in the motherland. So he's just feeling good. Yeah, I think right.
And today was a revenge game too, though. Can I just say that I love that just a week after the trade deadline, he had to go back to Washington and play his old team.
Had to face up. Yeah. Trey Mann, he looks great. I mean, he's reminiscent of who am I thinking of? He played for here we go. We're playing a round earlier. Matt doesn't know who he's talking about. Matty G will figure him out.
Here we go. I've got to look.
He was a triple double dude. He played
Russell Westbrook.
No, he's not a Russell Westbrook household name. He played for I think he played for the Suns. He never was a big scorer, but he was also always a triple double threat. Tall guy. He recently popped back in the NBA just to fill in, and then he was gone again. Play on. I'll come back to him. Someone out there is listening to this and they're yelling the name out. I know, but
triple double threat. Thaddeus,
triple double threat. Played off the bench. He was a bit of a defensive force. He was tall. He was a good solid 6'4", 6'5" for a point guard. No, it's leaving me, but
I'm leaving it.
What? Yeah, well, I'm come to me at the worst of times.
I'm completely lost in this. I'm thinking 6'3" point guards of the Phoenix Suns, and all that comes to my mind and bench is Chris Paul, because I'm waiting for him to come back on from the Warriors bench.
Yeah, it'll turn out he didn't play for them, so who knows? But back to what I do know. Fontecchio with 2 C's. He's only played the one game. He'll play again tomorrow. I'm hoping that because I had Bogdanovic, and when he's moved over and he's not playing impressively in a situation which is best case for him, it's only going to go downhill from here. Hence the reason he's one of my sell guys, which we'll talk about later. But I'm hoping Fontecchio slips in and maybe starts and does what Bogdanovic was doing for Detroit and just fills that role out. I know they still haven't got the big fighter, Beef Stew, back. But I'm hoping that Fontecchio, fingers are crossed, he put 20 points the other day. That might have just been first day flash, but we'll see. The only other one besides Trey Mann, Grant Williams, he seems to come back to life a little bit. And the other one, which we haven't seen yet, who I'm excited to see, it's a little bit crowded in his position, but I want to see what Quentin Grimes does.
Yep,
I have a little bit of excitement around what he can do. He never really got a chance in New York, so it'll be interesting to see what he does. But I think your list there was pretty comprehensive. But it goes Bagley. I've got the most hope in out of the list, and then maybe followed by Trey. unless ball comes back.
Now, look, I'm not going to lie. I actually totally didn't read one of your text messages later. So when I get to this later on, I'm going to make a PowerPoint slide in the background of this really, really quickly while you can talk us through your guys who you like for the thing, because we've got some waiver targets to acquire and some guys on the stream. Let's get into those.
Target acquired.
Malley, I've got a bit of a list of guys you like for the back-to-back series. Talk us through your list and why these blokes are good for you, mate.
Yeah. So I've got you've got Malik Beasley there. I actually had the other Malik Monk. I think Malik Beasley could be an ad. I didn't see what he did today, but he'll be up again tomorrow. And as you said here, he does have the Tuesday, Thursday back to back. I've looked more. I'll let you talk through that list there, but I've kind of picked guys because unlike you, I never see more than 2 days ahead of me without my blinders being on. My guys are more Tuesday, Wednesday fellas. So you have a little hash through this list because you've done the smarter thing and thought about Tuesday, Thursday, where I've thought about the back to backs.
I have. I've thought about it. You have thought about the back-to-back, but again, I can talk to the schedule as well for this one because the schedule that we can look at for this week it's pretty great. Apart from those dark,
that's nice.
Thank you. I do this. This is not even our graphic. I've just stolen this from my show the other night. This was no new work. No new work or effort was put in. I'm just recycling what I did with the crossover. So
Smarter, not harder.
There you go, baby. 10 games today, obviously being Monday. Tuesday was 6. Wednesday is 13. Thursday is 3. And the black ones obviously kick in from the All-Star break. So what I've just chosen to attack on this week is to have a look at the games. And again, and this is an absolute shameless plug at this point. As of last week, I don't know if you've seen it, Malley. We actually make a magazine now. There's an Insight NBA newsletter. It's called The Whip.
Nice.
And I put it up on Discord for like the unlimited members every single week. It's very nice. I do some very fun graphics for it, and I go through who you should pick up and who you shouldn't pick up on that show and a bit more in depth. But these are the guys who I was talking of because with those really crammed. Oh, these were your streams, by the way. This was my ones for Tuesday and Thursday. I did stuff that up, to be fair, so good on you. Malik Beasley, Jay Crowder, Bobby Portis, Jaden McDaniels, and Nikhil Alexander-Walker, or as I like to also include the lesser of the Pats, Pat Connaughton, in reference to not being Pat Beverly. These guys all play on the Tuesday and the Thursday. So for me, I like to run through these guys because basically I can get a game out of them on Tuesday, and I can get a game of them out on Thursday, like you can see. If you're going into the Tuesday and Wednesday back-to-back, you've either got a really interesting stat going on with your team, or you know what? You've got a bunch of bloody injuries of a guy in IR, and just something miraculously has opened up from the heavens for you. So in that regard, you want to make sure that you can get games where you can get them this week. I picked up Bobby Portis in a league, and the only teams that play on the Tuesday and Thursday that also played today were the Bucks and the Timberwolves. However, there is a caveat to this, Malley. The Trailblazers, they play Tuesday and Thursday as well. So we're talking guys like Matisse Thybulle. We're talking Jabari Walker. Scoot Henderson, who is on your list, who's on the injury report. So we just want a bit of an update on him. Anthony Simons and Duop Breath sat out Saturday as long as Scooty McScooterson did. So we don't know if they're going to come back for tomorrow. So we're just going to watch that injury report and see where we're going. Jabari Walker seems to be the incumbent I put in the article today. And I've got some more pickups there, but they do play Tuesday, Thursday. The only problem with that is they're playing the Timberwolves, who are much better. So this is where Kyle Anderson also comes in the conversation with me, Malley. So those are my likes for the streams for the week. And I should put up the right one. Tell me about your guys, including that sexy man, Malik.
There we go. My short-sightedness, only looking forward to tomorrow and the following day. Look, we have a bunch of back-to-backs. I mean, as your graphic showed there, it might not be valuable to you because you might already be stacked. But if you can slip one of these guys in, I think you'd be pretty happy with the result. So we've got Magic, Celtics, Nets, Heat, Kings, Suns, Pistons, and Lakers all with a back-to-back. And in my searching through those teams, I thought Malik Monk, we've got Kevin Huerter on a bit of a downswing. Monk is on the up again. Monk is on the up again. I'm calling Monk the other week. So I think he's the ad. Sounds like Gronk. We've got Scooty Henderson. As you said before, we're a little bit worried about his injury, but without Brogdon, I think it's Scoot time and maybe after the trade deadline, the All-Star week end. He might get a bit more run. Caleb Martin, Butler's out. Richardson's out. Butler, I'd say, with his the death in the family, it might take him a little while to get back. He's obviously not going to come back before All-Star week, and he may not after the break. It doesn't look real good for Rozier either. So, I mean, there might be a couple of boys over in Miami who are worth picking up. And maybe for deeper leagues, Jalen Wilson, without Cam Johnson out there, he's a name that this is a very limited time opportunity, I think, for him. But yeah, he's another guy. Those guys are my hot pickups for the back-to-back. Now, I found who I was talking about, and I'm actually.
I saw you Googling like crazy to find this out.
Yeah. Well, all I typed in was point guards with most triple doubles. He sits in the top 20, so that's fairly impressive of all time. Obviously, Russ was up. Magic was pretty high up the top of that list. I'll give you one more.
Did he play for the Suns?
He did play for the Suns. I was right. He did 2 stints for the Suns. He also played. Most recently, he hasn't played properly a proper full contract in the NBA since 2018, where he played for Orlando. He has probably the most outlandish haircut, or did at the time, in the NBA. So much so that I don't know how it didn't impact his ability to shoot the ball. Not Lonnie Walker, Elfrid Payton.
Oh my God! It was Elfrid Payton.
Yeah. So
he did play for the Suns. The Magic was. Yep. I was leaning that way for him. My God, he was a bit of a wizard at times, wasn't he?
So yeah, and you're seeing a little bit of Trey Mann's ability in that, like a little bit of defense, but just barely scraping over to double digits so far in both his games. I mean, I think he's been under in one and over in the other for points, but then getting those solid rebounds and assists, he just, and he's a reasonably sized guy, just kind of gave me the same vibes. So. Elfrid Payton was a god for fantasy because he was definitely no Russell Westbrook, but he was kind of the home brand version of him.
We used to call him Lady Elfrid of Payton, just because.
Yes, that feels correct.
That feels very correct for me, and I feel it is that. And you know what? Because we're talking about guys who were really, really hot. Did you just have to sniff your underarm in the middle of the pod to make sure that you didn't smell as good as Lady Elfrid of Payton?
Yeah, I wish. No, I didn't want to blow your ears away with my deafening cough. So
your video crackled for a second. I have no idea what was going on, but it just literally looked like you just went up and sniffed yourself. And I was like, if that's what it takes to be a top tier analyst, count me in. Look, let's get down this one. It is time for guys to buy.
Buy more. Sound fair enough?
This is also brought to you by our good friends over at Bonus Bank. To get more out of your bets and all of those side hustles, make sure you check out our sponsors, Bonus Bank. Use promo code INSIDE for 25% off your first month subscriptions to these guys. They give you the bonuses by telling you where the best bet returns are. For example, on the Super Bowl yesterday, I put in a little bit of a cheeky parlay. Now, I won my multi. I put in 3 legs for it. I wasn't expecting. I threw $5 on it. I had Chiefs to win. I did this because all my NFL friends said, no, you're lying. And I was like, no. I picked it because for me, I knew that Patrick Mahomes had never, ever lost in a playoff game where he had been the underdog previously. So I put the Chiefs down to win, Patrick Mahomes plus 175 yards and Christian McCaffrey for an anytime try. And I put that down. I got the screenshot to show that I won it. But what I did is I put that on a bonus bet. And to make sure that I make the most of that, I use Bonus Bank to make sure that I get the best bane back in my buck in case I lose out. But you might not lose out if you buy now on these guys. And your first one up for the night, Malley, is none other than
the man whose name I can't pronounce, Ivica Zubac. There we go. I'm doing my best over here. Yep, I need to get on and do a little research on the man. But there he is in all his glory, doing what he does best, being huge and grabbing the basketball. Look, I've picked him because he's obviously being capped at the moment with his minutes cap, coming back from his return. So I've got him realistically as a buy low target in my time to buy category. He is the best center option on that team, bar none. He has real chemistry with Harden. I was listening to Paul George's podcast the other day, and just hearing the conversations he has about the connection and the effort and the little pre-workouts and post-workouts Harden does with him. I mean, he's buddied up with the right guy there. He's a double-double getter. He's making 1.3 blocks, which isn't something he's done in his career, from my knowledge. He's never been known as a guy. And I mean, in today's NBA, 1.3s when Wemby's out there smacking 10 in a game. But that's definitely reasonable.
That also warrants one of these, to be fair. We didn't do it before, but it warrants a Mick Dell big horse shout out, 10 blocks in a game. It does. It absolutely does.
Yeah, get those lips wet. 650 plus from the field. He's a real businessman there. He's obviously a traditional center. He's here. I don't think you'd have to give up diddly squat for him at the moment. Like, I think the people who have him, depending on where they are in their standings, he's only playing 22-ish minutes a night. But even today, in his 20-odd minutes, and some of that he probably could have had more if it hadn't gone to garbage time, he still put up 11 rebounds. Like, he got his 2 blocks. Like, I just think that people are probably souring in him and panicking. I've tried to swoop in and take him off someone in one league and haven't had success yet, but I'm going to keep trying because I think that I'm making a little headway there. I just like him, and I just like what he does. And I know you love your captain consistencies. You like guys who you can pencil in for the same stats every day. You don't see bad days. You don't see good days. You just see standard solid days. And I think he might be a guy that could fit in that list of names.
I am such a whore for consistency. It sounds so bad, but I'm also like the biggest flirt with risk. Like, I love a risky venture, but I think I balance my teams out really well between guys who, like, my biggest punts this year, taking guys like, I took in one league, I decided to take the biggest risk and take Kyrie and Kawhi Leonard with my first 2 picks in a 20-man league, because I knew now Kyrie has been like phenomenal this season when he's played and been healthy. The guy who has been playing has been Kawhi Leonard, who is just nothing short of his incredible self. But this is where I love to like put guys who can do that with guys who are consistent. I love this, but the thing is, we need to remember today, he was going against Rudy Gobert. Now, Gobert played 33 minutes. He was 6 from 10 rebounds. Now, he got 1 less rebound than Zubac today.
Yeah.
And Zubac played 23 minutes. So Zubac is a very good rebounder. And I don't think we give credit where credit's due to Zubac. He was excellent. He's an excellent rebounder. And he's also an incredible offensive rebounder as well, Zubac. Like, he's very good. He has a very soft touch around the rim as well. He, again, in those 23 minutes that he played, 2 from 5 from the floor. But again, he is going up against probably the NBA's defensive player of the year in Rudy Gobert today on the blocks. This is the Western Conference, basically 1 versus 2. And the Timberwolves absolutely smacked him in the second half, to be honest. Like, they came out of the block and they were like, they were just, mate, that third quarter, I was thoroughly impressed by what the Timberwolves did to the Clippers. I wasn't sure where the game was going to go. But, mate, look, I think you're dead right. I think Zubac is, and talking about consistency, guys, talking about guys who I love, this guy here
aren't you beautiful?
There is no one safer than my 2 guys in the NBA, Houses Middleton and Houses Harris. You think it is by now on my guy, Toby Harris. And when you sent this in the text message, I was deliriously happy just to see Toby Harris get some love.
I knew I'd tickle your bits there, mate. I certainly lined that one up perfectly. Look, a nice segue for us into Tobias. He's a man you can set your watch by, and he has been for a long time. He's had his ups and downs, definitely, but it's in his new home here. Well, not new anymore, but new for him. He's just moved up the pecking order, so he's now the second offensive option once more, with Embiid out and likely not to return, at least for the fantasy future. He's getting a squillion shots. At present, they're not landing, and I think that's probably the only I guess, breach in the armor that is Tobias Harris?
I've got one for you. He's been in and out of the lineups lately. Now, I own Toby in a lot of leagues. I've tried to get him in a few leagues, but he was out again today. He was injured. He was out with illnesses. So what you end up seeing, look, I'll bring it up. And I think this is what people see. Fuck it. We talk about this all the time. I'm going to bring Tobias up. When you look at open your apps and you do it where you like open it up, this is what you see. Yeah. I'm just going to make this as big as possible. Got a laptop beside me and it literally has look, it's probably better on my phone. As a Toby Harris owner, when you get him in your team and then you open up your most recent owns on Harris, you just go by the search bar straight away. I think the screen is, you bring up Toby. Here you go. My mate Light Years, Chris has him. You look at the game log and you literally scroll through it and you see 286 and 488. And then you see zeros. 2 games, 9 points, zeros for 2 games, 14 points. You've got to really scroll back to this consistency and just see what he can do. But he's been in and out of it all season. So this is what you're talking about, Malley. People doing that research on their phone and being like, maybe I can lose that guy.
Yeah, and it gives them a little bit of I think that's what you need. You just need your chance. You need that door to creak open just enough for you to slip a foot in and stop it closing for a moment so you can get your spiel out. But, he's traditionally, and hence the reason he is Houses Harris, just like his mate Middleton, is that he's just consistent from all shooting locations. Like his 2s go in, his 3s generally, unlike lately, go in. He's great from the line for a man of size. He isn't a guard, obviously. But, I think what, you should be considering as well, if you look through his stats like you did just then, his rebounds are up, his assists are up, his steals are up, his blocks are up. So we always talk, and I think we seem to make way of mentioning it each week, that points are the sexy girl. And when points go down, people panic. And when points go up again, people get excited. People who are willing to look a little deeper and maybe, obviously, when they're paying category leagues, look further than the points category a lot across the board to see what else is happening. And he's statistically quite impressive at the moment. I've said here, you might have to try and make him the little fish in a bigger trade. I feel like if he's not the prize piece and you're doing something where it's, well, here's your big guy, my big guy, but I reckon you could sweeten the deal for me and you chuck in Tobias Harris. Look, he's missing all these games. He can't hit shit at the moment. You're not going to miss him. I'll take him and we've got ourselves a deal. That's kind of the angle that I would be going for, because the last thing I've written down here is Harris is never sexy, but consistency is always sexy.
Consistency is so
and I think that.
Yeah, oh my God! Just say the word one more time.
Consistency.
Hot. Cool me down, and call me consistency. And look, it is good for a reason. Now, this is the thing. I go over and I look at Houses Harris, and again, people are very like my wife says that I'll see something in the supermarket, or I'll see good advertising or good graphic design, and I'll be like, I want that. And I'm like, yes, because people have worked hard to make that attractive for my purchase. And can I just be honest? There's something that's Tobias Harris has done the same thing. He has redesigned himself as a Coke bottle, but he's not selling it as new Coca-Cola. He is selling himself right now under that 39 that you see on my screen on Yahoo and in apps. That is what people will see when they go in to do these trades. People will instantly see what they're ranked on for the season. And this is where, if you're in a new ball league, people nearly have to look at the statistical profile and how that pans out over a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because these rankings change. And when you see the 39th ranked player and you try and send someone maybe who's hot right now and that you want to make a go for, people might just be inclined to say no, because the number one Philadelphia 76er in the past week has been someone I'm going to talk about very soon. But Tobias Harris in the past week, with being in and out, has been the 130th best player in fantasy. He's just over the 130. He's not even a top 100 player in the last week. But people just gravitate to that number that they see on their app straight away. Like, oh, yeah, you're sending me the 39th best player for Nick Richards. He's the 138th best player. But you need a big man. And look at Nick Richards. He was perfect from the field today. 600. Like, man, come on. You need field goal percentage and rebounds, and you need block shots. Like,
yeah, it's all about narrative.
It's all about narrative and about that. So I'll 100% touch on that. And I did say that I would flirt with someone. So I might as well put this one as one of my guys who is hot right now, because he was a hot deadline guy after the trade deadline. And people have absolutely picked him.
Pull over by this hot guy and let me out.
And I did talk about him just a second ago, but it is one Mr. Buddy Hield. And he is, I love Buddy Hield. I put him on. He was one of my guys. And I had him just before the deadline. Had him, trade him away. He wasn't getting Indy. Didn't need him. Didn't want him. And guess what? You don't need Buddy Hield in your lineups right now anyway, because the guy who plays his starting spot, D'Anthony Melton, is not in your lineups. And guess what? Joel Embiid is out for about 20 games, which is about 3 to 4 weeks. Now, that includes the space of a 5-game chunk right now for week 17. So if he's out for week 17 because of 5-game chunk for Philly with the trade deadline, cool. He's out for week 18. Cool. Week 19, rad. Week 20, amazing. When are your playoffs, people? Know when your playoffs are set, because they kick in at either week 20, week 21, or week 22, but also know when your trade deadline is. Now, if you're flying high and you've got Buddy Hield, get rid of the bloke now. Because I'm not going to say he's not worth a lick of salt, because I like Buddy Hield. But in the last week, he has been absolutely flying. In fact, he's played 4 games and he is the 14th best player. Crazy. So this is where you absolutely sell high, because D'Anthony Melton hasn't played. He's questionable. How many minutes he gets when he comes back, what they're going to ease in. We just saw Buddy Hield in a minute split situation at Indiana and know that he was inconsistent there. But he's also not been that consistent from his field goal attempts right now. Like, his threes are up in the last week. He's at 455 on the season. You know, he's been pretty good, near a 400 3-point shooter. I've got nothing wrong with the guy's game. Again, I like Buddy Hield. But when you look at the field goal attempts, the free throw attempts have been down percentage-wise. The field goal's up about 500. He's had some hot games, but he's also had some stinkers. But you see the points, the sexy girl at the party, you see the peripheral stats, and this is him flying at his apex mountain. And he's going to be able to do this now, before D'Anthony Melton returns, and we see what happens in Philadelphia. So you deal Buddy now, you strike while the iron is hot, and this is where I think that you can get a return on him. He has been averaging 19 points a game, almost 20 points a game, almost 4 threes. That's attractive. 4 rebounds, like 6.5 assists, 1.3 steals, 500. But the free throws, they sink you a little bit. So maybe for a guy who is a very good free throw shooter, usually he's plus 800, you could shake him off. Oh, it looks like his free throws have taken a little bit of a neg lately. You know what I mean? You can get a bit of a buy there. So that's where I think it is time right now to do that one and sell him, or to basically sell him high. But you've actually got another sell now guy. You've got a time to do this one for.
Sell.
And I will say that initially I did read your message wrong, Malley, and I thought you said Bogdan Bogdanovic and a Kongwu in your text message.
Yep.
However, while we did this pod, I was very crafty, and you're going to talk about these guys. See, I've just used the same graphic. I deleted the other bit, but there's Bojan Bogdanovic.
Nice.
Thank you.
They'll never know.
They'll never know, apart from the fact that
you got to wait.
Big mistake. No one ever saw the last one. Which one do you want first? Do you want Bogey, not Bogey, or do you want the omelet?
Let's go the omelet. Let's put him into a conversation. Look, I feel like there was only a matter of weeks ago where we talked about him. This is pre-trade deadline. There was a lot of rumor going around, as there generally is, about the fact that he was going to get the starting spot and Capella was going to be shipped off somewhere else. Well, half of that came true. He ended up with the starting spot, but not because Capella's gone. It's because Capella can't take to the court at the moment. He really is doing the things that he was kind of marketed and promised to do with the minutes if he got them. He's double-doubling. He's scoring, close to 20 points. He's getting a block or two. His efficiency is pretty sweet. He had one stinker of a game from the line, but outside of that, I think he went 2 from 7 or something awful. Maybe it was 2 from 5. But the assists, that he's flirting with a couple of those each game, and he can hit threes as well. He's a modern centre, but I think obviously the reason that we need to sell him is because this isn't going to probably last. We know that it's going to come to an end at some point in time when Capella comes back. You could flip the coin and maybe there'd be other people having considerations that if Capella does come back, are they going to play him? Things are going well with the Congaroo. Is the minute split over? Is the Congaroo the man? So you're really going to have to zone in on the right people because there's two trains of thought, as there always is. We give our opinions, but our opinions, are opinions, and we like it and hope that they lined up more often than not. But yeah, I've got him. I've got him here. If you can convince someone that there's like a Clint shutdown, then you might be able to sell him. But yeah, I think that now, if any time, is the time. A little bit like the man you just talked about.
Now, I this is what I loved. I think we have a pretty. I'm actually going to go out on a limb and say we probably have one of the best track records of buy low and sell high guys going around. Like, we've got a pretty bloody good track record. I picked Miles Turner last week as a buy low guy, and he's been bloody phenomenal since I've said that. So shout out to every player in the NBA who listens to our podcast religiously and then decides to up their game accordingly to the feedback that we give them. Because Miles Turner is one. Because you tried to bloody flip me a Kongwu for Miles Turner. And you didn't get to listen to the pod because you were sick last week in your absence. And I said Miles Turner was a buy low guy. He has been brilliant the last 2 games. 8 from 13 again today, 1 from 5, perfect from the free throw line. The rebounds are down, obviously splitting them with Siakam. 2 steals and 2 blocks. Whew. Hello, Miles Turner. But this is the kind of thing you could probably talk to a guy about. Not as good as Turner, but you could definitely convince someone that a Kongwu profiles like a Turner type, stretches the floor, very good free throw shooting. And so if you can get them into that narrative, you definitely got some guy there that you can use. Let's talk to the man from New York, who today especially gets a massive uptick on sell now, because you could really now add like a little cherry on top, a little bit of a sprinkles on there is the fact that Dante DiVincenzo was out.
Yeah, and you're right. That worked in. That kind of played into her hand really nicely. I think really when we're looking at these dust settling guys, he's going to end up being one of the biggest losers when all's said and done. He was in Detroit taking all the shots because he was one of the only people who could take them and make them. So they were giving him everything. He's basically gone from a guy who takes 20 shots a game, and now he's a 10 shots a game, kind of player. Was the number 1 shooting option. He's now maybe the 4th or 5th on a healthy New York team. Scoring is what he does, and he does lots of it, and he usually does it at a reasonable clip. Statistically, we know that he's basically empty everywhere else. He'll get a couple of rebounds. He'll snag a block accidentally every now and again, but that's kind of thing. I guess here I've written that the silver lining saving you from a drop is that at present he's playing on a team with no Randall, no OG. It looks like for the next little whiles, no DiVincenzo. He's making the best of a bad situation, but when that door closes, it's going to close real hard. Like he's going to be outside in the doghouse, like it's going to be cold as hell, because when these guys come back, there's no way he's playing over Randall. There's no way he's playing over OG. They don't need his defense. They've got plenty of that. They probably won't use his offense. We know what they do. They put it in 2 people's hands and say, you do the shooting and we'll run Rover. What is it like in semi-pro where he just runs around? I'm going to run Rover, coach. And everyone else is just like running laps around. Anyone who's read a scouting report knows that there's only 2 guys taking the shots on that team. And I mean, DiVincenzo is probably in the same situation.
Same boat. Yeah.
Yeah. And had he not got hurt, he was probably going to be the next on my list of sell now while you can kind of thing. But Yes, you're right. There might be a little reprieve for Bogdanovic at the moment. He might move into the starting lineup for the next week or this weird week / 2 weeks, or however your league is positioning this time around the All-Star break. But yes, if you've got him, move him on. It ain't getting better.
It ain't getting better than this. But if you want a better home, by the way, because it's a good segue on better. I can use better. I can better from this. If you want a better home, in fact, if you just want a better home, look, I like your home. That's a wall. People might want to expand their home. They might want to look for 4 walls. They might want to look for 39 different walls within a home, and that might be your definition of a dream home. Far be it from me to disparage what your dream home is, but if you want it, Ryan from Astute Newstead can absolutely help you out. Ryan is an experienced broker, and if you ever want to do that, or an investment property as well, if you're looking to get into the market, and if you don't know how, well, if you're a current owner and you have an interest rate above 6.2%, I can guarantee that there are better options out there for you. How? Because Ryan knows, and he'll hook you up with all the information you need. You can get all the info for free. Reach out to Ryan at ryan@eganwealth.com. That's ryan@eganwealth.com. And that's at astute _astute. That's _Hammond, SHL_astute on Insta, or call him on 0431 766 784. That's 0431 766 784. His details are down below in the description. So if you are after that, make sure that if we're talking about safe as houses, well, there's none safer than working with Ryan. But one final
mustache, so
he's got a wonderful. He's very good with the mustache, but this guy has not been very good lately. Before we get out of here, I've just got to give a bit of a neg to a guy who has been outside the top 200 in fantasy, which means technically the guy shouldn't be rostered in your league right now. Because if you've got a 230th best player in your team, or in fact, he's been the 117th best player in the last 2 weeks, he's trash. He's dog shit. If you had a 230th best player, Malley, in your team, do you want them in your team?
I wouldn't think so. And I mean, I might even see my name that far down the list.
No, your name is never. I would face the Deathly Hallows for you. You will never be outside the top 230 for me, Malley. But do you know a guy who is? It's this bloke.
You tell me about him. There he is.
De'Aaron Fox. This is who I'm talking about. And this seems egregious for me to say that the guy has been this shit, because I'm a massive, massive fan of De'Aaron Fox. I have picked him up in and out of leagues for years. I traded for him actively last year. I've won championships in fantasy with the guy. But in the last week, he's been averaging 14 points, 1.7 threes, 2 rebounds. The assists are nice, 7.3. But the steals, now they're elite. So people are starting to see 2.7 steals for the guy because the Swipa is back, and that's what I love. I love the defense. His free throw percentage in the last week has been abysmal. The last 2 weeks, it's been 550. Now, he's not a notoriously good free throw shooter. Now, the last 3, this year, he's been at 780 overall. Last year, he was 750. The year before that was 720. Now, I know he's got a bit of a shoulder. Oh, but Matty, he's got a shoulder injury. Yes. Why the fuck do you think I'm talking about buy him low? Because when a guy this good is this injured and he's about to go on the All-Star break and get an extended rest period, and he can get some rehab in and he can get some downtime and some rest on this injured area, he can come back healthy. And in fact, we have seen De'Aaron Fox slump well and truly over the years. And then what does he do? He rights the ship. He comes back strong. He puts the Kings on his back with Sabonis and he fires away. But again, there are going to be owners that are always frustrated. They're frustrated as shit. They're going to think that this guy is tanking. They're going to be thinking that they're like, oh my God.
You're stupid.
Exactly, for taking him in their thing in the first place. They didn't want him. They don't want him in their lineups right now. They actually want you to take him because people get desperate. People who get desperate are the guys in your league who are between 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, depending on how close they are. to making the playoffs. And you want to sell them if you are in 1, 2, 3. No, fuck 1. They don't want to help you out. You're in the first place. But if you're maybe 2, but definitely guys who are 3, 4, and 5, if you happen to be an owner with a guy that you can ship off for a guy like that, you're probably more open. And again, like you said, Matty, it's all narrative based. It's all situational. And so if you are not the best guy that they don't want to help you, they might even look at where your position is. They might just be so fixed on theirs and making like where the game's limit is, depending if you're a week's winner or how many games winner. But this is why things like this open on guys like De'Aaron Fox. And he has been. On the year, he is the 43rd best player in fantasy. Amazing. He's been outside the top 200 in the past week, which is a shame for Foxy. He's dealing with injury. Past 117 the past 2. In the past month, he's been 65. So you can buy low on him now because we have now an extrapolate. Like we have some more data. We have weeks of data that shows that he's in a slump and his owner's going to want to move off him. And this is what is a buy low. So the definition of buy low is De'Aaron Fox. And that is my final thought for this one, the Insight Pickup Show. Thanks very much, Malley, as always, brother.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Thank you. Did you like that De'Aaron Fox rant, by the way?
I did, yeah. I was settled in nicely. I had a comfy spot in my chair.
I saw that.
I wanted to know about De'Aaron.
You kind of went back into it, being
really
like,
enjoying it.
about it. And knowing you bastard, you're probably going to try and trade for him in one of our leagues.
Yeah, that's probably what was ticking over in the back of my head. Who has him and how do I get him?
Is he ranked 6, 7, 8, or 9 right now? Does he want to make the tip? Well, yeah, that's it. Because you didn't listen to my buy low on Miles Turner last week because you were away for the bloody week. Then you tried to buy him off me after the day you tried to trade for him, the day that he scored like 20-something bloody points and had a bloody corker. And I was like, what are you doing, Malley?
Probably sending out trades in amongst having VOMs, mate. I was probably one in the toilet and then having a look at what you had available because there's never a better time than.
And also, should we just do a public service announcement on this one? A public service announcement. Your trade deadline in your league is probably coming. When is your trade deadline? Check your settings right now. Jesus.
Yeah, it's going to be real close. Yeah.
Yep. Get onto it. We'll catch you again next week for the pickup. I'll catch you on Thursday for the chase down. Live on Saturday morning for Heat Check. We have more special guests coming. It's always a fun time. And I'll be on FBI Basketball on Thursday night with Adam King. Make sure you check that out with the Insight team. Skiddy is joining me, who joins me for Heat Check on Saturday morning. He is part of the crew on Thursday on the live FBI podcast. So we'll be there pumping the Insight goodness. Then we'll see you soon, folks.